Hey there, how's it going? So today we are going to build a system for a friend and fan of the channel. So build him a computer for under $1,000. So this is the video for that PC. So this is a computer we're going to try and get close to, which is like a mid-range, oh, would you call it mid-range? It's so hard to determine these days. I'll say this is low mid-range gaming PC. So this one here is a Ryzen 5 5600X RTX 4060, 1TB NVMe. So my goal was to get something similar to that down to around $1,000, which we have fortunately accomplished. So here we go. Here's the main pick of parts. So I've chosen the 5600G. Yes, it's a little bit slower, and yes, it's only PCI Express version 3 compared to version 4. But the 5600X is currently at $239. This one was $188, so it's just over $40 saving, which is where it needs to be, because we need to keep this build. As you can see, it went to 1024, but that was as good as it got. Pretty close. $24 off is not bad. And for the main board, we chose the Gigabyte B55M. I like the Gigabytes as they're all dual BIOS. So, you know, in the future, if the BIOS fails, you've always got that backup chip there. This one's got Wi-Fi and all the quite feature packed for $159. I won't go into it overly, but if you want to look that up to see the exact specs, if you're interested, take a look. The memory, I've gone with the Kingston Fury Beast. I like Kingston RAM. I've always used it for probably the last 20 years, and I've only ever come across 2 sticks that have ever had a fault, whereas other brands I've had more regular occurrences of faults. It's a brand I trust. So we've got 16 gig of DDR4, 3600, $65, which is really good price. I remember just 2 or 3 years ago now. Like this kind of RAM was like close to $200, so that's like a bargain price. $65. For our SSD, we've gone for a 1TB M.2 Crucial P3. It's PCI Express 3. And you could be saying, oh, there's a PCI Express version 4, which again was like another $20. But from my experience, even if you've got a SATA, I use a SATA drive on my desktop, and when I've been tinkering around with it and plugging in an NVMe drive to test it and install Windows, it's just as snappy, you know. Like you might get loading times a little bit quicker by a few seconds. Big deal. In this case, we're trying to save a few dollars, so that's still good performance for the price. And for the video card, we've chosen the RTX 4060. A lot of people don't like the 40 series. I chose the 4060 because I still think the NVIDIA, the quality of the actual die is the best of the best at the moment. Whether I agree with their marketing division is another question. It's only got 8 gig of VRAM, which is a shame, but should be able to play most stuff that, you know, should be right. Everything, because I got a 3070 that I play on and a 3080. The 3080 having 10 gig, 3070 with 8 gig, and I've not come across any problems. The good thing about the 4060 is it's got the DLSS, so that's a good advantage of it. I know you get more VRAM with the AMD cards, but I've come across a few AMD cards in builds that I've done and talking to other people that do builds, and the AMD dies just don't seem to be the same quality. They overheat, they warp, causing cooling issues. I don't know, the quality is just not there. So anyway, I'm not going to go into it in this video, but we've chosen the 4060 over an RX 6600 or 6700 for that reason. I just think that 4060 is a better quality product, and we're going with the MSI. It's a mid-range brand, I'd call it, and I like it because their cooling is always pretty good. Like they always put cooling on all the MOSFETs, the coils, and the capacitors. Yeah, for a mid-range card, I think they're cooled a little bit better. The Gigabytes, not so much. Yeah, anyway, I mean, each brand has its premium video card product, which is better again, like the Auroras and everything. But anyway, I picked this card for the best balance between price, performance, and quality. You can have your opinion, but that's just what I've gone with. The case, we've just gone with the cheapest micro ATX case with a window that we could find, because it's just a piece of metal and plastic at the end of the day. So this one came with a 120mm fan, which was nice. It's got a 120mm recess in the top, and in the front you can put up to a 360mm water cooler, which we actually have one that was donated from someone else to put in a system if I was building something and somebody needed it. And it doesn't fit. It's an inch too long, so they didn't take into account the water tanks. The water tanks on this one, it's an NZXT, makes it a little bit too long. Not a big deal. We just can't throw in a free water cooler, which I was kind of looking forward to doing. The processor does come with a stock cooler, which is probably better than what Intel give you, and then there's a little bit more thermal mass in it, but it's not the greatest, and we're not going to overclock it with that stock heatsink cooler. So if somebody donates us something in the future, I might drop by his house and upgrade his cooler so we can get a bit more clock speed out of it. But for now, I think it'll be fine. So you're probably noticing there's no power supply there. That's because I also had a power supply donated, which was a near new Gigabyte 750 watt, fully modular. So we're going to use that in this build as well. And before you're wondering, yes, it's not one of the ones that were known to catch on fire. I made sure of that. I looked up the model number and it's definitely not. So yeah. So this is our 56. Just quickly having a look at the specs. We've got unlocked for overclocking. It's only PCI Express 3, unfortunately. No big deal. The video card, I know it's a PCI Express 4. It's a little bit unbalanced, but like I said, trying to get as much system for the price. That's the goal of this build. Is a 5600, as you can see. A little bit more cache. The clock speed, the clock speed is actually less on this one. I believe this is the older one, the 5600. Anyway. 22. This is the one we were trying to go up against, the 5600X. So it's got another 200 megahertz on the boost clock. A little bit more on the base clock. Same power. Comes with the same cooler. PCI Express 4. Yada yada. Yeah, I think in the future, if we can overclock that G, it'll be pretty close to the X anyhow. And it's going to be such a small difference. As you can see here, we've got 5600X here, 108% compared to 100% here. So even with a little overclock, 4.5, it's up kind of halfway between here and there. Performance per dollar, the G is actually better performance per dollar than the X anyhow. So yeah, I mean, this is on the Tech Power Up site. Our performance per dollar is probably a bit better because we got the 5600G a lot cheaper than the X. And relative performance. So this is where it kind of matters. So you got the 5600 here, 100.9% at 2K versus 100%. So that's not quite 1%, or we'll say 1% difference. So that's nothing. At 2K, should be right. And what have we got at 1440? I think there's a little bit more of a difference. Here we go, 106.4, so 6% difference, 6.4% difference compared to the G stock. Like I said, when you're actually in the real world, you're not going to notice that difference. You might have, 62 frames per second instead of 66, which you're not even going to notice. It's only when you get a lot lower than that, as you know, if you're a gamer, that really matters. So yeah, that's what we've picked for our parts. So without stalling any further, let's get into the build. And we're going to speed through this build, and I'll just stop every so often and add a few notes. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Alrighty, let's take a look at the airflow in this case. So we've got a 120mm in the rear, exit heat, and a one provision for a 120 in the top with a filter on the outside, which kind of indicates they intend for air to be drawn in from there, filter being on the top. We can just take the filter off, I suppose. Yeah, in the front we've got there's not heaps of air that comes in from the front of this case, is the only downside. There's some little strips on the sides of the case here, but I realise those are actually for aesthetics. There's no air that actually gets drawn in through there, unfortunately. It does have a little nook down the bottom where it draws air in. So if we have two fans exiting, plus the power supply will be exiting air, we'll be drawing air in through here, which will pretty much go into the power supply and up through here. Not super awesome, but we're not actually generating a lot of heat, so that's kind of why I'm not too worried about it. But we're going to do some testing anyway, and see what kind of thermals all this gets. Take a look with a thermal camera. We'll also, with my builds, I go over the main board under full load and just see if there's any components, like MOSFETs, that are getting a little bit too warm. And if you watch my Pentium 4 rebuild video, I'll be doing the same thing on this as I did with that, which we stick heat sinks and maybe even position internal fan to blow air on the hotter components. From experience, that vastly increases the reliability, because if you look at data sheets for any of these MOSFETs or electrical components, the lifespan of the components is completely determined by the temperature that they run out over the lifespan. So the hotter it is, the longer, the quicker it'll burn out. Kind of obvious, but something that is really missed in PC building. So yeah, we're going to add a new free fan on the top, and I think we're going to blow it out. We could blow in, then the air's pretty much going to take a detour and go straight out again, and this hot air is not really going to circulate, but yeah, power supply will have a small draw on it. Anyway, I think it's better to have the air exiting through there, and it can suck it in through the front. So yeah, let's find a fan and get it installed. Alright, so my box of fans, I've found a brand new Antec 120mm, which I believe also has a blue LED ring in it. So up the top, that'll give a nice blue hue over here, because I believe that nothing in here actually has any RGB or colours. So colour theme of blue, which is good, because RGB drives me nuts. So let's chuck this fan in. Oh, this is interesting. So it only comes with 2 screws for a fan. Now, you could use 2, but hey, why not use 4? So just open my container of collected screws and find the right ones. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's 4. We use those ones. 4 black ones. Okay, so that fan's in now. One annoying thing I noticed with this main board is it didn't have a second fan header up the top. Usually you have one next to the CPU fan for a pump or another fan, which is a bit unusual because this is the 2 place where fans commonly reside. So not to worry, the cable was just the right length to go down to the header down there, so no biggie in the end. So yeah, apart from a couple of missing screws in the power supply, I think we're ready to power up and get Windows installed. So I've actually got a spare, I'm actually donating a Windows product key for this that I paid a couple bucks for quite some time ago. So I'm going to donate that product key so that we can get Windows on here and not go over our $1,000 budget. Okay, so I just noticed the speaker was missing as well, so we just quickly threw that in there and cable tied it up. So we're just going to give this area a bit of a clean up because it's a bit cluttered at the moment. And let's get Windows on. And we have power. Okay, so I was a little bit worried there for a second because we weren't getting a display, but then just as I thought, oh, it's probably training the memory, it goes beep and off we go. New CPU installed, we can hardly read that. The screen's getting a bit old. Takes like half an hour to warm up now. Yeah, okay. Alright, so we're going to go into the BIOS and configure things. Okay, one thing I almost forgot because I'm rushing through is BIOS update. So I'm going to go on the AMD Gigabyte website and find the latest BIOS for this system. So
A few minutes later.
okay, so we're pretty much done and dusted now. We're just going to run some diagnostics and benchmarks on it, and then we'll put it together and off it will go to its new owner. Alright, so we've got Furmark installed. Sorry about that humming in the background, the tumble dryer is going because it's raining here at the moment. So we're going to stress test. I didn't think the screen could do 2K, but yeah, nonetheless, we'll see how it goes. Presets. Alright, so I'm going to run the CPU burner. So we'll go start. And we're also going to stress test it. Test it. 16 by 9. 2K. Test. Okay. Yeah, as I thought. Screen can't display that. What else? Let's do it at what's 21.9? I swear I had this. Yeah, okay. It's not because that's running, is it? Ah, it is because it's running. Alright. So we're just going to leave this running for a bit, and yeah, let's get that thermal camera out and take a look around inside the case. KK Moon. So it started flipping out, so I'll quickly shut it down. I think it's because the resolution's not right for it. So let's try it. Yeah, it's really not happy now. Let's have a look. Ah, turns out I've got the KK Moon on the keyboard. That'll cause bizarre issues. So probably wasn't the issue, it's probably the fact that I had the spacebar jammed down on the keyboard. So let's go again. And go. Right, so the ambient temperature today is 20 degrees. So what kind of thermals are we going to get? Let's have a look. Power. Alright. Try and get the angle so you can actually see what I'm looking at. Come on. Anyway, let's have a look around. What can we see? We can see 50, 60 on the, what do you call it? Heat pipe. That's a good thing, means it's actually transferring heat. And I'm not seeing a lot else. What's that? That is the MOSFETs and memory for the memory. 30, that's not too bad, 10 degrees above ambient. It's only been running for a few minutes. What have we got here? 42. That looks like. Let's have a look. So that looks like it's coming from the coils. Actually doesn't feel too bad. It's like mildly warm. Some MOSFETs up there. That, oop, there's a fan. Yeah, GPU's nice and warm as would be expected. I'm actually surprised those fans haven't ramped up a bit more. We might install Afterburner, I think, and get a better fan profile set up. What's it running at? 68 max, currently 67. Yeah, let's see if we can improve that. Alright, so we'll shut that down and we shall install Afterburner. Alright, we've got Afterburner, so let's do some. Look at that, 30%. Oh, it's not running. Alright. Let's just run that. Then we will just do a quick setup of this. User interface, transparent, as small as possible, thank you, and we'll make it slightly transparent. Celsius, 24 hours. Monitoring fan. We will make our own fan profile for that, but let's just see what it's actually getting to. 62. See, if I was mining, crypto mining, like straight away, that's like too hot. So yeah, some guys are a bit funny about buying X mining cards. If you ask me, gaming cards, I mean, they run at 100% or are overclocked. You know, if you properly set up GPUs for mining, then they get a pretty crazy life, to be honest. Anyway, this isn't about mining, so we're not gonna overclock just yet. I just want to see what the fan is only getting to 40% at 65 degrees. So let's. So we've got down on Fairmarks maximum 66. See if we can improve that. So that's what 47 above ambient currently. A little bit of noise, who cares, eh? As long as it's nice and cool. Alright, so I don't like them going hot, so let's keep it well below Is that not moving? There we go. 60 degrees. The fan will be running 85. There. So basically what we're doing here is this will be the sweet spot that's going to aim for, not to go over much over 60. Let's just apply it. Yeah, straight away I can hear the fans ramping up. Yeah. Can you hear that? That's good. Means it's getting the heat off. As it should. So we should see a drop in temperature now. This is why I hate the stock fan profiles that manufacturers set up. They're never good. I mean, I know you don't like noise, but sheesh, man, put some headphones on if you don't like the noise. You know, I'd rather my PC run cool and noisy than hot and silent. Get down to 62. Mind you, this is stressing it out to the max. This fur mark, so yeah. What we're seeing with temperatures, then we're going to 61. So we've dropped 8 degrees just by speeding our fans up. 60, yeah, see, 60 is kind of what I aim for on a gaming card. I know you can go hotter, but that's just my personal preference to keep it under 60. So let's see if we'll actually bump up the clock a little bit. We'll just add a little overclock, and I'm just curious to see how much of a temperature difference it'll make. Alright, so that's pretty minor. 50 on the core, 100 on the memory. Oh, it's lost the temperature. That's good, we'll overclock it further and it'll go colder. Yeah, we've got temp limit 83. Let's turn our temp limit down. I'm going to turn that down to 75. Yeah, temp limit. Power limit 100. Accept. Yeah, it's not bad. She's under 60 with a small boot, very small boost, mind you. But hey, something's better than nothing. I don't really want to overclock this further than that. There's no point really. You're not going to notice a huge difference. Anyway, let's save that as a profile. Start with Windows. Lock the profile. Cool. Alright, happy with that. So we will... What are we down to? Yeah, 58. So we've dropped 10 degrees just by improving that fan profile. I mean, admittedly, it's now, you can hear the fans, but with the side on, you're not really going to hear it. So, alright, that's our quick GPU tweak. So let's move on to CPU. There's our specs. Alright, bench. So I use this. I'm guessing we're just going to do a quick benchmark. I reckon this thing will be a little bit better than an 8700. Not sure what's actually on the comparison list. So there we go, we've got our numbers. Let's have a look. What did I say? 8700. 7700. Yeah, I got one of those. 8700 and this processor 600 versus 560. Oh yeah, that's a fair bit. So it's probably closer to a... What's the next one up? Ryzen 7. That's still even better than that. Oh, that's pretty old. 1700. We got... It's 9900 KF. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, the single thread performance is about the same. So it's about the same as the 9900K. That's all right. For 188 bucks, that's a good bang for buck, I think. So, like I said, we're not going to overclock the processor, even though we can, because that stock cooler is no good for overclocking. So let's click on bench. Oh, not bench. Stop. Stress. Alright, now let's have a look around. Yeah, just having to think. Alright, let's have a look around. Dropping everything everywhere. Mr. KK Moon, what can you see on the processor? The screen looks really dark for some reason. Anyway, 35, 36. So basically what I do when I do a build, I look for hotspots. Small amounts of thermal like that, just because it says red on the camera doesn't necessarily mean it's dangerously hot. It just means it's hotter than that area, and then I just feel it. And if anything's too hot, I put heat sinks on it. So there's something really a bit hot down there. What's that? Oh yeah, that's hot. What's that? That looks like, oh, there's a MOSFET there. I wonder what that's for. It's kind of near the SATA ports. Might be for the GPU, actually. Yeah. Actually feels like it's cooled down now. I reckon that's probably for the... Yep. Store photos. No. Go away. Forward it. Oh no, it's still warm. Yeah, I'm thinking we'd probably chuck some cooler on that, to be honest. I would say that is the power for the PCI Express. There's another one. Oh, that's the BIOS. We got BIOS over here. Nice and cool. So that's got a heatsink on those MOSFETs. So that's right next to the fan. So good thing about the stock coolers is you do get ooh, there's a fan there. You do get a nice cool breeze. You can feel the cool breeze over those MOSFETs and the memory. Keep the memory nice and cool, except for behind the memory. But yeah, that's a little bit warm there. That power regulated chip is a little bit warm. So we're going to stick a heatsink on that just to improve the long-term reliability of that. It'd probably be alright, but I don't like heat, and it's something I've done to all my computers and builds, and from experience it increases the reliability incredibly. Like, I very rarely see systems back that I do that to. First up, we will shut this down, close, and shut down. Okay, so I'm just going to check out the height difference between those two chips, just so I get the right size thermal pad. So middle bit on the low part, push down, hopefully don't budge that, and what do we got? What's that like per millimeter? It's like, oh, that's 1 millimeter. Yeah, okay. So we'll get a tiny bit of 1mm thermal pad, set it on that MOSFET, and then we will glue that to the regulator that's sitting a little bit more higher. So this is like, you probably use like normal tape, but mylar tape is like designed for high temperature. There we go. Let's cut a piece off. Now I only need the tiniest little piece just to protect those pins, just in case it ever gets shorted. I doubt it, but yeah, better safe than sorry, especially with a brand new board. Alright, tiny bit of mylar tape. Alright, so a heatsink is attached after holding it on for like 2 minutes. Takes a little bit to initially dry that stuff. I'm just going to go back in and enable XMP to get that better memory performance. And also just give it a 100 megahertz overclock. That way we've got a something that is slightly better than stock, so that way our buddy Jake can say that his computer is slightly better than an equivalent system of the same hardware spec. Disabled. So it should be 3600. Yeah, sweet. So let's have a look. Spread clock ratio, precision boost overdrive, GF, that's graphics, advanced, core performance boost, auto, power supply, auto level, I actually haven't overclocked an AMD before, so let's have a sniff around. Oh, here we go. CPU clock ratio. Auto 39. So we want to change that to 40. Let's go 40.25, yeah. There we go. 40.25 and overclocked. Sweet. Let's save and exit. Alright, so what do we got? We have a slightly overclocked 4060, very slightly overclocked processor, extra cooling on the VRMs for the, what I'm guessing is the mainboard power for the GPU. So yeah, nice little system. So let's get it back together. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll just check the time and date and a few other things, and we are done. So that is this computer built. So yeah, till next video, I'll catch you later.